Ever feel like some products just click with you, while others you're just kind of left confused? Like, what are they even for?
Yeah, totally.
We're diving into April Dunford's Obviously Awesome to, well, figure out how to make sure our products aren't the ones leaving people scratching their heads. It's all about nailing that product positioning.
And we're not talking about just a slogan here, right? Yeah. Dunford really digs into this idea that if you don't have strong positioning from the get-go, like even before the marketing team gets involved,
Oh, interesting.
your product might be in trouble.
So are you saying even the best marketing can't save a product if the positioning is off?
Pretty much. It all comes down to this. Your positioning is basically answering the customer's question before they even ask it, like, what's in this for me?
Right.
If you can't answer that clearly, then no amount of fancy marketing is going to make a difference.
That makes sense. I mean, I might see a product with a cool new feature, but if I don't get how it actually solves a problem that I have,
Exactly.
I'm moving on.
And Dunford lays out this really practical framework for how to craft that message, that clarity. She breaks positioning down into 5 key components, which we'll get into. But
Okay.
the big thing to remember is this isn't just a one-time exercise. It's not like you figure out your positioning and you're done.
So you're saying it's not a set it and forget it kind of deal.
Not at all.
Tell me more about that.
It's a process, right? Markets change, your product evolves, competitors pop up.
For sure.
You got to be ready to adapt.
Right?
And Dunford gives you this 5-step process for doing just that.
Okay, I like it.
And it all starts with knowing who you're up against, like really knowing your competition.
Okay, so that's step 1. Makes sense.
But she doesn't just mean the obvious competitors.
Grow.
Like,
Yeah.
if you invented a new kind of CRM software, she's not just saying, oh, go look at the other CRMs out there. It's bigger than that.
Okay, so who else are you competing with?
She's talking about the workarounds people are using instead of your product. So in the CRM example, it could be people using spreadsheets, sticky notes, just a messy inbox.
Oh, wow. I see what you mean.
Whatever they're cobbling together to solve that need.
So you're really trying to understand that whole landscape, even the less obvious stuff.
Exactly. Once you know your playing field, then you can dive deep into your product.
Makes sense.
That's step 2. What are the unique features, the capabilities you have that set you apart? But it's not about bragging.
Right.
It's about really pinpointing what makes your solution different.
And it's not enough to just be different, is it?
You got it.
You have to connect those differences to something the customer actually cares about, some kind of value for them.
You hit the nail on the head. And that's where things get really interesting because anyone can list out a bunch of features.
True.
But Dunford's whole point is that real strong positioning links those features to the benefits they offer your ideal customer.
So it's not just, hey, we have this feature. It's, this feature helps you achieve this, which means you can finally say goodbye to that problem that's been bugging you.
Exactly.
Got it.
And to craft that kind of compelling message, well, you need to know who you're talking to, right?
Sure.
You need a deep understanding of your ideal customer.
Right.
What are their pain points, their aspirations? If you don't know that, then you're just kind of throwing things at the wall and hoping something sticks.
You know, it's funny because before we started talking, I was like, positioning.
Yeah.
How much is there really to say about it?
Right.
But this is way more nuanced than I realized.
For sure.
It's like you're not just describing your product, you're really creating this whole story about how it fits into the customer's world.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And a big part of that, Dunford says, is choosing the right market category.
Or,
Like literally which category you put your product in.
okay, interesting.
Because our brains, right? They love shortcuts.
Totally.
We use categories to make sense of the world.
Right. So if I see a new product, my brain's immediately going to be like, okay, where does this fit in with everything else I know?
Exactly. And if you try to position your product in the wrong category, or even worse, in a category that doesn't even exist yet,
Oof. That's tough.
it's like you're speaking a different language.
Right.
Customers won't know where to put you, so they'll probably just tune out.
It's like that saying, right? If you have to explain it, it's already too complicated.
100%. Your positioning should be so clear, so in the right context, that the value just clicks.
Right.
So you could have this amazingly innovative product, but if you can't quickly convey its place in the world,
It's DOA.
pretty much.
This makes me think about all those products that felt like solutions looking for a problem.
Oh, yeah.
They probably just totally missed the mark on that whole category piece.
Very likely.
Or-
And even if you get the positioning it itself right, Dunford talks about how crucial it is to keep that same clarity across the whole customer journey.
Oh, interesting. So you're not just thinking about that initial pitch, you're thinking about
The whole
the
thing.
whole experience, from first hearing about the product to actually using it.
Exactly. Your messaging, sales conversations, your customer support,
Yeah.
it all has to line up with that core positioning.
Mm.
You don't want a situation where marketing is saying one thing, sales is saying another, and then the actual product is like something else entirely.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely been on the receiving end of that,
It's the worst.
where like a salesperson will promise me the world, but then the product is just not it. Super frustrating.
The worst. Consistency is key. And speaking of things that can go wrong, Dunford points out some of these classic positioning mistakes companies make. One of the big ones is getting too caught up in the features and forgetting to translate those features into real value for the customer.
Right, right. It's like that old saying, sell the benefit, not the feature.
Exactly.
Like, as a customer, I don't care if your software has some fancy new algorithm unless I understand what that actually means for me.
Totally. Don't just tell me about the algorithm. Tell me that it's going to help me save time, reduce errors or whatever it is, make that connection.
It's like showing up to a vegan potluck with a plate of ribs. Like, no matter how good they are,
Yeah.
it's just not what people are looking for.
Total fair.
Total positioning fail.
And while that's a more delicious example,
Right.
I've definitely seen similar things happen in the tech world.
Oh, for sure. And I bet another common mistake is trying to be everything to everyone. Like, you can't please everybody, right?
It's impossible. You
Yeah.
end up with this watered-down message that just confuses people.
Right.
Dunford's really big on focus,
Okay.
really nailing down who your ideal customer is and then making sure your positioning speaks directly to them.
So better to have one person who's like, this is exactly what I need,
Yes.
than 10 people who are kind of like, maybe.
100%. And even if you nail the message, the audience,
Right.
Dunford reminds us that this isn't static. You don't just set it and forget it. It's an ongoing process.
Because the market changes, customer needs change.
Exactly.
Your product itself is probably evolving too.
All the time.
Yeah.
So you got to stay flexible.
Right.
Be ready to adapt based on the data, the feedback you're getting.
It's like you wouldn't plug something into your GPS and then just blindly follow that route for the next 3 days, right?
Yeah.
You got to be ready to adjust if there's traffic or construction or who knows, maybe a meteor shower.
Love the analogy. I think obviously awesome.
Yeah.
It really does give you that roadmap,
It does.
For anybody who's serious about mastering this whole product positioning thing.
Totally. It's super practical, very actionable. So whether you're launching something brand new or you've got an existing product that maybe needs a little refresh,
Right.
there's definitely something in here for everyone.
For sure. As you're thinking about your own work,
Yeah.
what's one little tweak you could make, today, to improve your positioning?
Ooh, I like that.
Maybe revisit that ideal customer profile, test a different value proposition,
Right.
or even just have a conversation as a team about how you're communicating the value of what you're building.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are great starting points. I think the biggest takeaway for me is just how important it is to really, truly understand your customer
100%.
and then, build your product and your message around that.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Because when you get that positioning right,
Yeah.
everything else just kind of clicks.
It does.
Marketing's more effective.
Yeah.
Sales conversations are smoother. Your customers, they're not just buying your product. They're turning into fans.
Right. They become advocates. And isn't that the dream?
Totally.
To create something that people really, truly connect with, that they believe in.
Absolutely.
That's what Obviously Awesome is all about.